Hello and welcome to this video on finding the length of the base of a triangular prism given the volume. So in the last video we looked at actually finding the volume of a triangular prism. This time we've got to rearrange for one of the dimensions. Alright, so the first thing that I would do is try and make like a little data table. So we are given from the question that the volume is 120 meters cubed. We want to find the length of the base of the triangle. So this bit, so B equals, don't know yet. Now we're given a few other dimensions. We're given the height of the triangle. The height of triangle. The 2D triangle. All right. So just recall in prisms that the 2D base should be the same on either end, the same shape on either end. That's how I know that that's the 2D base shape. All right, so I make sure that I write that down. Okay, what else are we given? We're given the height of the prism is how many times that same triangle stacks up. So it stacks 6 meters backwards, 6 meters. So I've got my little data table and I've also got a formula here. So let's use it. So we start with this on our formula sheet. Volume equals AH. Now what does this mean? It means area of 2D base shape times the height of the prism. That's what always goes on in my mind when I see that formula. Just write it out. So volume is that. Now let's derive this a little bit better. Area of the 2D base. Now some people would think that this is the base of the prism here, but it is not. We know that it must be the triangle. So what is the area of a triangle? It's half times base times height. And then don't forget times your height of the prism. Now, we can substitute into this formula. All right, so what have we got? Well, we know that the volume was given. It was 120. Half is a half. The base, well, that's what we're trying to find, right? So we're just substituting in from our little data table. Base, leave that as a variable. The height of the 2D base. Remember, this first bit is dealing with the 2D base. The height of that 2D base is 4. The height of the prism. So they're different types of heights. The height of the prism is 6 meters. So be very careful. Now, before we rearrange this equation for B, I'm going to simplify on the right-hand side. It will make life much easier. So we do this. We're going to grab all of these normal numbers. Half times 4 times 6. So what is half of 4? Well, half of 4 is the same as 4 divided 2, which is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. So what I can do is I can condense all these normal numbers into the number 12. And then just put B. Don't forget B, because we really need that one. And then, again, finding the length of the base of the triangle. So rearranging for B. So in algebra, when two things are written next to each other, they are being multiplied. Now, what is the opposite of multiplying? The opposite of multiplying by 12 is dividing by 12. And what we do to one side, we must do to the other. So see how those 12s will cancel and we'll just be left with B, which is what we're trying to find. Now 120 divided by 12, I can't do that in my head. And I should have been able to. It's 10. And then at the end, always check your units. And maybe they give number of decimal places in the question. So what should the units of this base length be? Length is a distance, so it should be a distance as well. We plugged in meters, we get out meters. Okay. So now let's try another one. Let's try another one. So given a triangular prism with a volume of 150 meters cubed, you can make a data table as you go, and a triangular base with a length of 4 meters. Triangular base with a length of 4 meters. So I'm going to call that, because we're dealing with the triangle, I'm going to call that B, because base times height, right? Base times height. So we got that. Find the height of the base of the prism. That's what we're trying to find. Height, and this is to do with the 2D base. Find the height of the base of the prism's height is 6 meters. Height of prism equals 6 meters. So you can start with a data table, and then we have our formula in our formula sheet. So volume, area of 2D base times height. Area of the 2D base, it's a triangle, so we've got half times base times height, and then we've got times the height of the prism. You can feel free to just write all of the words to make sure you do it. Now we can substitute in. All right, I was given V was 150, so you can plug in on that left-hand side too. And then we've got half times B was 4. Our height was, we don't know. We're trying to find the height of the base. Okay, so we'll leave that as a variable. And then we've got our height of the prism in our little data table up here. So this is our data table. Height of the prism is 6. Now let's simplify on this left-hand side before we rearrange for this variable. So I can just grab all these numbers and multiply them. Half of 4 is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. So I got 12H. And then 2 numbers written next to each other, invisible multiply sign. And I want to get H on its own. So I've got to divide by 12 on both sides, because that's the opposite of what's happening to H at the moment. And then that will cancel those, and we're left with, let's chuck it in our calculator, 12.5. And then I always check my units at the end. So it's a height of a 2D shape. We plugged in meters, we should get out meters. So that is the height of our 2D base. And I hope that helped. Just remember that volume is the area of the 2D base. So locate that base first. What sort of shape is it? And then you're just stacking it by the height of the prism. They're two different things. Height of triangle in 2D versus the height of the prism. They're two different things. And that's all I've got for you today. So I hope you have a lovely day. Bye bye.